Hi, I'm Bobby Lumpkin, and it's an honor to serve as your Executive Director of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. A little bit about myself: I've worked for the agency for 35 years this November. I started as a correctional officer in 1990 at the Diagnostic Unit, now known as the Bird Unit. I promoted through the ranks within the Texas Department of Criminal Justice Correctional Institutions Division up until the early 2000s, and then gained a lot of experience working in different divisions within the agency. I have the commitment, I have the energy, the courage to serve alongside all 32,000 employees that protect the citizens of Texas and carry out the mission of public safety. As your Executive Director, I also believe in leading with compassion. Compassion for the men and women that carry out the mission of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice in protecting the citizens of the state of Texas, but also compassion for those that are incarcerated within our secure correctional facilities, and compassion for those that are under supervision with both parole and probation. I look forward to engaging with each of you, walking our facilities, being in our offices, being in our probation officers, working alongside you such as we have the last 35 years. With that, I'm ready to take some questions from the field.
What advice would you give to a newly promoted supervisor?
I guess the best piece of advice I can give you is what motivated you to want to be a supervisor. And there's not a wrong answer. There's many reasons why you become a supervisor and you want to be a leader in the agency and in our profession. So always remembering what that why was.
What's the hardest part about working in corrections today?
I'd say the hardest part of working corrections today is certainly staffing challenges, not only in our correctional officer series, but also in our parole officers. Substance abuse counselors. In addition, dealing with a behavioral health population that have struggles with mental illness. We see a continued growth in the number of inmates that we see on our mental health caseloads, but also the supervision of those type of clients in the field as well. An additional challenge in today's corrections is contraband. Contraband, when we say contraband, we're talking about, of course, cell phones, illicit substances. Is just a huge challenge in corrections. Of course, you've seen us do many things to tackle the introduction of contraband through the last several years, but we have a ways to go. There's not a finish line in the fight on contraband. With these challenges, when we all work together, we can overcome this and meet these head on.
I wanted to ask, where do you see the agency in 5 years under your leadership?
I would say in the next 5 years, continue to pursue the 2030 that was built by the agency. Certainly ensuring that the pillars of the 2030 that are obtainable and that we adjust as we need to, but not to keep our focus off the established pillars of 2030. Modernization in what our correctional officers do in their jobs day in, day out. Also modernization in how our very important responsibilities as parole officers and what we do in the supervision of our clients in the field, as well as the many other important divisions of our agency that protect public safety.
What gives you hope about the future of corrections?
What gives me hope about the future of corrections is that the team here at the Texas Department of Criminal Justice truly cares about what we do. Not just about custody and control, not just about ensuring that every day that we clear count, that we check the box on what our requirements are to do in each of our responsibilities, but that we care about enriching the lives of men and women, that we care about our staff and that they know they matter. And that with that caring in the vision of the 2030, the vision of more modernization and how we conduct our jobs, that gives me hope of corrections going forward.
Who has mentored you or inspired you the most during your time in corrections?
Several have certainly mentored and inspired me, not only in my career as corrections, but just overall in my life from growing up into this point in my life. Certainly my family and my sister and their work ethics and just our family values of just being truth, honesty, integrity, commitment to what we set out to do. There's so many leaders in my 35 years with the Texas Department of Criminal Justice that have mentored me in so many different ways, whether it was in the ways of learning on how to be a correctional officer, how to be a correctional supervisor, but also how to be a department head, a deputy director, and a division director, in many different walks of just not our correctional side of the house, but so many of our support divisions as well has mentored and inspired me in what I do today.
What is something the public gets wrong about corrections?
I think some in the public get wrong that many of the men and women that do release from the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, that they all come back, or over half of them come back to incarceration, and that's not true. Here at the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, our recidivism rate is 16.9%. And so that relates to those that return back to custody within 3 years of being released. And that shows that we have many success stories. 95% of those incarcerated eventually go home. They become neighbors of ours. They go to school with their kids go to school with our kids. They frequent the spots we frequent, or in some cases, they may have been family members of ourselves that were incarcerated. And that many think that all of those, or a lot of those, end up coming back to the agency, back in incarceration, and that's not true. Because of the efforts of many of our divisions, the Windham School District, many of our stakeholders, our recidivism rate is a indication of all the great work that all those entities and stakeholders do day in, day out.
So what is something you believed early in your career that you no longer believe?
Absolutely, hands down. I would say starting my career in 1990 and in my early days of being a correctional officer was that it was just about custody and control and clearing count. And that we had it all figured out, that we didn't need input from anybody. We knew how to run a good system, and that we could just do that, put it on cruise control, and protect the citizens of Texas. And that's not true. There's so much that goes with corrections, with a criminal justice organization such as TDCJ, ensuring that we're enriching the lives of the men and women that are incarcerated here at the agency or on supervision. Also ensuring that our staff know that they matter, no matter what their job is. If it's a correctional officer, a parole officer, an administrative assistant, a clerk, just across the board, that everything that the TDCJ agency stands for and the mission of the agency cannot be accomplished just with one division. It takes everybody together to accomplish that. And at one time in my career, I thought we were just about prisons, and have learned that over the last several decades, and been instilled and strengthened in me that is much more than just that.